how much of the suburban female vote, though, is just social pressures? I mean,
I think there's a ton of it, but I think that moms are more likely to we saw it with Youngkin. You can't mess with the mama bears. These are women who probably in the past, well, I'm sure they hated Trump. I'm sure a lot of women did not want to vote for Trump. It's the way that he talked about women, the comments, But, the Youngkin stuff, that to me proves that you can't really mess with the suburban moms. You can't do the social justice stuff with their kids. You just can't do it. You're not going to win.
What was I imagine what was I wonder what you think the catalyst was for the suburban moms to wake up to the problem and then vote in a Republican?
I think that part of it was the horrendous rape case, and the whole school board was basically in on silencing it. I mean, that's somebody's daughter.
That's interesting.
And they chose to cover that up and to try to downplay it.
But this is interesting. It's Donald Trump says things women don't like.
Yeah.
They don't like the way he behaves, and so they vote against him. Then you get this story in Virginia where a female is assaulted and mothers quickly respond. I wonder if it's just female centric, right? Something they're seeing affecting them specifically that's causing the direct response.
I mean, maybe. I think the other big part of it though is these teachers and these super woke people in our children's lives now too. I think that there's a driving divide to divide our kids from us. And I think that's very scary.
Are they going to vote for DeSantis?
I mean,
I can understand not liking Trump,
right?
But what about DeSantis?
Well, I think that I don't know. For me personally, I could see a DeSantis vote easily happening, and I think it is interesting to watch the left try to demonize DeSantis as they are. Trump can't be the Antichrist, and then DeSantis is the Antichrist now, and he's actually worse than Trump, and you can't just keep doing this forever and ever and ever.
I got it though.
Oh boy,
I got it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if DeSantis gets super ripped and then does that yoga handstand thing on his desk that like Trudeau did, I think he'll get all the ladies.
Okay.
But what if he also figures out Newsom's hairspray?
Yes, the hair gel.
I want to see them debate. They were talking about on Twitter. They were chatting back and forth or something about.
Baby.
It was about their hair, though.
Yeah, let's start there.
Let's start with
start
their
with
hair.
products and then get personal and then talk about politics.
It was a debate about hair.
So
they were talking about products. Yes.
Right. So
gel versus spray.
If they want to get reelected, that's
pretty fun. I'm cool with that. But I like Newsom apparently wants to shoehorn his way in on Biden if Biden doesn't run. And now Biden's actually doubting. He was asked if he was going to run. He's like, well, it's a little too soon. It's like, you were just saying all the time you're going to do it. But Newsom is he looks like a snake oil salesman.
He does.
But DeSantis is a military guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was JAG, but I genuinely do think, not to be as crass as the joke about a hunky DeSantis, because Trudeau women seem to like, but I do think that DeSantis is substantially more appealing for a variety of reasons. He's younger. He is let's just say it. Anyone can acknowledge he is more attractive than Donald Trump himself.
Yeah, of course.
You think Trump is way more dreamy?
I don't think DeSantis is all that easy on the eyes. I think that if you put him and Newsom, I think Newsom, yes, snake oil salesman, greasy Ken doll, sure. But isn't he really tall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
DeSantis is 5'10".
That could be a Kennedy Nixon TV debate waiting to happen.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Who gets sweatier?
Yeah. I think we know.
That's why Nixon
DeSantis
lost that
won't.
debate.
Well,
we know that Newsom doesn't get sweatier because he wears fleece in 80 degree,
that's so weird.
105 degree weather.
That's right.
Remember? So he's sweat proof.
Well, at least look. If you put Donald Trump next to Ron DeSantis, who are the ladies going to pick?
I mean,
Trump.
Well, after January 6th, they're going to pick DeSantis.
I just think that DeSantis, you eliminate a lot of the
baggage drama
that women didn't like.
Yeah.
And so you bring out a guy who's like, I'm going to protect your kids. I'm going to do right by you. He's younger. It's more relatable. And I think DeSantis would get a lot more suburban women.
I think so too. I think that the way, the Stormy Daniels stuff, the grab the peace stuff, all those remarks were nasty. Also, I went back at one point and started trying to find the old episodes of the Apprentice, and they're all pretty much wiped now. They're all pretty much gone. But when I did start this little venture or whatever. The episodes, the beginning episodes, the way he treated women was crazy. And this was years ago. Yeah. But, I mean, I liked Trump at first, but yeah, I mean, I could see how regular women could be really very much off put by the way he was.
I think it's emotional and social for a lot of women. I think women are more susceptible to social pressures than men.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not. I don't know how substantial it is, but it's just more. We see it with Instagram. We see it with TikTok. Young girls are doing these TikTok things where they fake terminal illnesses. They're getting Tourette tics from watching other people. Yeah, substantially more than young men.
Yeah.
And so when the media keeps screaming over and over again that Trump is nasty and gross and evil, you end up with a lot of, namely millennial women who are just like, yes. Then you end up with a lot of male feminists, weaker men who are like, anything you say, baby, because I'm trying to sleep with you. And then you end up with people voting and developing this mass formation psychosis. Yeah. Instead of just being like, I am a being unto myself with my own thoughts and opinions. And while I do find Trump to be sometimes gross, his policy positions actually are a lot better than Joe Biden's. So I'll vote for that instead.
Well, that's why those man on the street videos that I think you've had a couple guys on who do those videos. They're so important because it just shows that these people have no idea about policy at all. They're totally just going with the grain.
Yep.
They have no idea.
And the emotions. People are emotionally manipulated. I was going to suggest we play Marry, Kill, Bone, but that's not a family-friendly. There's a game.
Marry, Death, Kill.
I thought it was FMK.
Yeah, but family-friendly show there. So
okay.
I don't think it's that appropriate. But
on the members only show, we'll do it when the kids are in bed.
That's great. Let's get the whiskey out again.
Nancy Pelosi, the woodshop worker, and Hillary Clinton.
Pelosi all the way, man.
I'm asking you guys that question in the after show.
What did Alex Stein say on the show? She's solving the formula crisis single-handedly.
Yeah,
no.
Absolutely.
When Alex Stein was on the show, he made an interesting point that the war in the Middle East has just kind of evolved into the war in Ukraine. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was so blatant. When
one ended, another one started.
He also and it's funny because it's like clockwork. But he also ate that chip and the one chip challenge. That was fun.
He actually approached Dan Crenshaw on the street. I didn't have a chance to talk to him. I wasn't on the show with him, but I thought he was saying like, you guys served a bad war. You're bad. I don't know but he was insulting him personally. Yeah. I think he was insulting his height and stuff like that.
He said you sacrificed, I think he said something like, I could be wrong. Look at you lost your eye fighting a war, an unjust war or something like that.
Yeah. And what the thing is, if he had been alive and an adult in 2001, when that towers came down, pretty much everybody believed. But how old was he? How old is he? He's 36. Yeah. So he was like 14 or 15. 14. He was young. He wasn't an adult. But like when you were an adult at that time, everyone pretty much thought we got attacked by terrorists. So it was like they weren't bad people for fighting in that war. It wasn't until later, like in 2008 and 2007, that we started to realize that we'd been snowed. So I hope that Dan Crenshaw and Alex Stein have a chance to talk again.
Well, I think the issue is Dan Crenshaw is... he's what's the right word for, he started when Crenshaw started off, people were very much interested in who he was, and then he started to become more and more swampy, swampy and war hawkish and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know him personally. I was listening to Rogan one time and I was like, who is this? Well, he canceled on us twice. So yeah, I was listening to an interview on Rogan. I was like, who is that annoying guy? And then I looked over and it was Dan Crenshaw. I'm like, oh my God, why he was like pandering to Joe and like, but I mean, I listened, the show got better as it went on, but I was kind of rubbed the wrong way at first. Here's what I don't know him. I'd like to know him though. Here's what I don't like. Alex Stein, he called Crenshaw Eye Patch McCain. He said really nasty.
I don't like it. It was
ad hominem. I don't like that. What I do like is when Alex was actually commenting AOC as a sort of activist troll kind of thing. I think that was a little crude, but he ultimately got a major story out of that. When he was confronted by protesters and he said, "I love you all and wish you all the best," that is amazing. And I think that's the brilliant kind of trolling of laughing and smiling that he does well. Like Luke, you approached a lot of guys on the street in like Dan Crenshaw's position, Larry Silverstein. I mean, the list goes on.
Rothschilds, Zbigniew Brzezinski, Henry Kissinger.
I never saw you.
Tony Blair, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton.
I never saw you. Island. I never saw you insult their ad hominem. I never saw you comment on their ugliness or their height or any of that. You were just like, here are the facts. Comment.
And that was the way. I think that's the way you do it.
Well, I was a little facetious sometimes when, Kissinger was having his private dinner, being awarded the Freedom Award. I asked him, how does it feel being a mass murderer receiving an award for freedom when you murdered and butchered so many people around the world with your horrible policies, especially in Cambodia and Afghanistan and Chile and the Middle East. I could keep going on and on and on. But predominantly, that was like the sixth time I talked to him. But the first initial ones was always, hey, you talked about how military men are dumb, stupid animals. Please explain. This is according to Bob Woodward, who said this on record, that you publicly made this statement. How do you respond? And he said, he called me a bunch of names. He actually resorted to trying to make fun of me and trying to call me a horrible human being and me a monster and me a war criminal, which was kind of hilarious and funny. But, everyone has their different approaches. Alex has his, I had mine. But they made it almost virtually impossible to get to a lot of these people. But, that's beyond the point here. And it's not easy. You're in the moment. People get emotional. There's a lot of different energy going around. And it's very hard to kind of be concise and control yourself. And it's a fine art being able to talk to a lot of these people.
I really like Alex. I will say this. I like Alex Stein. I think that he's very smart. I think he does what he does very well. But I do think he screws up because I think that it's kind of like when Tucker Carlson is calling Lori Lightfoot Beetlejuice. It's like, it's so distracting. And, when they're winning an argument, then they do that stuff and everyone's like, oh, it's like, you have to do this again. It's like, on one hand, I get it. It makes it more fun to watch. It's entertaining. It's relatable. I'm sure it really, gets the clicks and everything up. But at the same time, it's like, you're just taking away from the actual, you're winning without this. You don't need to do this. It's like when he did the big booty Latina thing, it was like, why are you doing that? It was gross and weird.
I mean, the challenge is, afterwards, AOC came out and claimed that January 6th may have been an inside job. Mm-hmm. Had Alex not done what he did, we wouldn't have had her coming out and calling for an active investigation. And I was like, that's a really good outcome.
Yeah, and
that's
AOC,
tough, right? The ends don't justify the means, man.
I mean, AOC also, insults a lot of people. She also said we have to make politicians uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's true.
And she called on for a lot of these policies, which she's getting affected on. So again, there's a debate to be had here. What's the right approach? I don't know.
Well, it's not calling Rosie O'Donnell a fat pig. I mean, if you want to lose the will of the American people, that's what Donald Trump did, and I don't want to see Alex go down that path.
Yeah. So that's why going back to the DeSantis stuff
and the women vote.
Right.
That's
I think
how you turn them off there.
So do you think it was the women vote in the last election that cost Donald Trump the election from your work in PR?
Do you? No, I think it was the pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
he would have won without the pandemic. I think he handed the presidency over to Fauci, and I think that he lost the country.
He absolutely did. And then he tried to get Bill Gates as his science advisor, and he took advice from Bill Gates, and he implemented the policies that Bill Gates wanted. Admittedly, Bill Gates is talking about this right now, bragging about it. Mm-hmm. So he lost a lot of people, especially with his administration starting the 14 days to slow the spread, which is just a horrible, horrible approach.
I just don't, I have to say, though, I don't like that he gets blamed for such poor handling of the pandemic, because I don't think anybody knew what to do, and it was so everybody's favorite word. It must have been probably the top used word was unprecedented. It was. And Trump thought, well, I'm taking the advice from, Dr. Fauci. I'm taking advice from all of these experts, and all of these, science people and everything. And he did listen to them at first. I don't think he got enough credit for listening to them at first. I think that's also what cost him everything. But the left will say that he ignored scientists and didn't take anyone's advice. And it's just, whichever side you ask, they can spew what he did wrong. And it was a mess, and it was unfair. And then, of course, January 6th happened, and that's it. I think that's a nail in his coffin.
So you think 2024 Trump's not going to be able to pull it off because of those things, or what?
I don't think that he's going to be able to pull it off because of January 6th. I think that any chance that he would have had to try to come back, I think he squandered it.
DeSantis, though, do you think he'll win?
I think that he could win. I don't know who the Democrats would run, who could beat him.
Yeah,
who do you think?
Gavin Newsom.
I think Trump is beatable.
Do you think Gavin Newsom could beat DeSantis?
No.
Yeah.
Whitmore is going to run. DeSantis is going to run.
Whitmore, oh my Lord. I think that if I feel like Newsom, though, should be defeated. Well, Michael Schellenberger could, I think, dismantle him. But you take one video of San Francisco. I mean, how can? But I guess we talk about media ignoring important things. I mean, outside the front door of every major, news network is a huge homeless crisis because it's a liberal-run city, and so I mean,
he has the slick look.
Rambling.
He has the slick look, and Buttigieg also has the CIA connections that could also bring him forward.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.